from 24-Hour News 8, this is the ArtPrize Jury Awards Shortlist. Live from the ArtPrize Hub in downtown Grand Rapids.
All right, it is the first big night of ArtPrize 8. We are unveiling the entries in the running for the juried awards, including that $200,000 grand juried award. Good evening, everyone. I'm Marley Ginter. And we have put together an all-star panel of art experts. They spent the last few days walking our city streets looking for the best art to determine who takes home the big cash and to help you find the best of ArtPrize. The world's largest art competition is really two contests, the public awards and the juried awards. Then on each side, there are categories for entries: two-dimensional, three-dimensional, installation, and time-based. You are flooding the streets voting for your favorites in each category, and your public vote finalists will be announced on Sunday. But tonight, it's the jurors' turn. 5 experts from around the nation. They've spent days in our city looking at the art, taking notes, making decisions. Their task, sift through hundreds of pieces of art in their category to find the best 5. Each category has a $12,500 award winner. One entry announced tonight will win the $200,000 juried grand prize. Also tonight, one juror has been tasked with perhaps the hardest job, finding the best venue at ArtPrize. We'll see his short list, which will help you plan your trip to ArtPrize this year. Okay, so now we know exactly what we're in for tonight. We want to get straight to those short lists now. So we want to start with the installation category. Now this is for entries that are dependent on the location where they are installed. So last year's $12,500 winner was In Our Element, a painting of fish under an overpass on US 131. I'm sure many of you saw this one. The juror picking the installation shortlist tonight is Dina Hagag, director of The Contemporary in Baltimore. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Dina. And you're here from Baltimore, so we are so excited to have you. We appreciate you being here tonight. We want to talk about the pieces now that made your shortlist. So why don't we start with the first one? We have This Space Is Not Abandoned by Cultura Collective at 912 Granville Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah, we picked, I could probably talk about this piece all night and then you would hear from no one else on this panel. I love this for so many reasons. First, it was really interesting to see an entire collective curated project as one massive installation. It was beautiful to consider considering something site-specifically by its community and by the people who author it. So we love this piece for so many reasons. It was so diverse in materials inside. And I think what really sealed the deal was the curatorial statement and the way that they were thinking about how art can be accessible and who that's for and how things like ArtPrize can exist in cities like Grand Rapids.
And I know when we were talking earlier, you said too that you look for pieces that are going to have a message.
Yeah.
Looks like this one was definitely one of those.
Absolutely, and the curator, the young woman, Stephanie Rosales, was really an excellent messenger. Yeah.
Now, the next one that we're going to talk about now, Christmas Eve 1933 by Mark Dion at Site Lab, Rumsey Street Project.
Yeah, man, yeah, talk about an installation. First of all, I really like dioramas, like even when I was a little kid. So it's nice to be in like an adult-sized diorama. It was beautiful to be in that church and to be on Rumsey Street and to consider what it looked like in the 30s and to see how much care and how careful Mark was in constructing that space. We noticed that there were so many partners, like they had to kind of sift through a lot of different antique dealers and local historians to make that work. So that was really quite lovely, and we spent a considerable amount of time in that space.
You know, one thing that stood out to me about this piece, when I was a little kid, we had this, it wasn't a snow globe, but it was this round thing. I don't know how else to describe it, but it had a little Christmas tree in it and had this little setting up. And that's what this reminded me of, almost as if it could take you to that place.
And to be in ruin, to be standing in a sort of structure that's falling apart in the middle of that space, I think was really exceptional. Yeah, it was an excellent installation.
Did it also have one of those things where it almost felt like it was moving you because you're there in this place?
And I think it's important to examine our histories.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, the next one. Wars and Rumors of Wars by Eric Dixon at the Urban Institute for Contemporary Arts.
Yeah, I mean, I love that we're talking about this piece on the night of our first presidential debate. This was really important for me. I think sound is really interesting. It was interactive, and it was nice to be in a space that was interactive. It's peculiar and beautiful to have it in the sort of gift shop area of the UICA. And really, when you stand underneath it, you hear different politicians talk, address war differently, press conferences, screenings, and it was really convoluted, and you had to strain to hear, and it felt really symbolic of the way that we think about foreign policy.
Right.
So it was really, I highly consider everybody sort of make it out and see that piece.
Explain this one more, too, because when I was reading about it online, how interactive this really is
so
with
it's
people.
motion censored. So as you walk, different speakers will play depending on where you are. So as other people are walking around you, you can't really navigate it on your own. We stepped in there today. So we went on Saturday when it was really busy. It was very different than being in there today when the museum was a little bit more quiet. And certain moments like little gestural moments like that in work, I think are really valuable.
And I want to make sure I have this right too. If you go see that piece, when you're walking around, do you have to move a certain way to keep the voice going that you're listening to?
Sort of, yeah. I think if you step out of frame, you kind of lose that and maybe pick up another one, or they're happening simultaneously or at the same time.
Wow, that sounds really cool. Very awesome. Okay, so the next piece, are we ready? Untitled by Louise Chen at the UICA Exit Space Project artist located at the Grand Rapids Ballet Company.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is by a young street artist named Wheezy, who I believe is based out of Detroit, if I'm remembering that correctly. But what was beautiful is we were sort of driving past it, and it had caught our eye before we even realized it was one of the sites we were jurying. So that was really lovely. It's on the ballet, and it was curated by UICA. And it was really just a joyous piece. It just made us feel good. It was beautiful. We had just visited the market, and we were learning about sort of what's happening in that neighborhood and thinking about farming and food and agriculture, and it just all those pieces fit together at once.
Is this piece still in the works? Because I remember reading that it was going to be finished on October 9th with the finish of ArtPrize.
Yeah, and the artist will be here to finish the last two walls so people can sort of speak to her about the work and ask her questions.
That is really awesome to do, when you can actually talk to them about what they're feeling, what they're thinking as they're making the art.
Totally.
You know, when you see that one, it's so massive. Is that really what you're looking for, though? Something huge that's going to stand out to you like that? Or is that just that just happens sometimes?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's what we're looking for, but I do think it's impressive to see artists working on that scale, especially if it's well executed. And this was one of those pieces that felt like it checked all those boxes.
Right. Okay, so our next one now, Hybrid Structures by Alois Kronschlager, Paula Menta, and Ted Lott at Site Lab Rumsey Street Project.
Yeah, this was really meaningful for me. I think that we don't spend enough time considering folks who are not fully able-bodied. So I think that was sort of a really opening. It was a beautiful intervention, structurally and architecturally and aesthetically, and we loved seeing it sort of connect all these different sites on Rumsey Street. But for a lot of, I think, how do I word this? I loved the exhibitions that it connected. Like, I also loved sort of conceptually what it was doing, and this exhibition by Dis Art in one of those buildings that I can't remember now, was really for us sort of the icing on the cake for this piece and sort of how all of those elements spoke to one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a message you think that piece had?
Yeah, think about people who are not able-bodied. Make things accessible. Yeah. So that was really important to see. Yeah.
Wanted to make sure we got that message out there one more time because it's an important one.
Yeah, think about people who are not fully able-bodied. I don't actually know what the language is, but think about others maybe is the message. Yeah,
exactly.
There we go.
All right, Dina Hagag, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, so we know one shortlist. We have 4 more to go. We'll unveil the finalists up for the big money at ArtPrize. Coming up, stay right there. And welcome back to the ArtPrize Shortlist, live from the ArtPrize Hub tonight. 5 jurors are unveiling their shortlists. One of those jurors has an extremely difficult job, and that is finding the best venue at ArtPrize. Of course, Grand Rapids is awesome, so we have so many great places to go, right? This category, though, can help you plan your visit to ArtPrize, of course. Last year's winner was, once again, Site Lab. The venue has won this award 4 out of the last 5 years. So will it make the shortlist this year? That decision is up to Steve Dietz. He is the founder, president, and artistic director of northernlight.mn. Steve, first, I just have to ask you, when you go into venues, is there something specific that you're looking for that's going to make your shortlist?
Yeah, I mean, the way I think of it, it's a little bit like 3 different characteristics that I'm looking at. And the first is, what's the curatorial point of view? Is there an overarching concept that's being presented at the venue? The second is, how does it interact with the venue? Is it doing something more than pictures on a wall? Is it sort of thinking about the space's history, its situation in the neighborhood? And the third is the art. And so I think that's one of the reasons why Site Lab has been successful historically, because they're looking at these very site-specific spaces. And another reason why some really great venues that we love going to the Bob or we love going other places, you know, they don't necessarily have an overall curatorial concept, which isn't a reason to say that they're not good or it's not to go there, but it's just a different way of looking at what makes the best venue.
Right. It's so interesting to hear all that, because when you think about how you're picking a venue, that has to be so stressful for the people that are setting that venue up, because it's almost like you're coming into my living room. I need to clean real quick because I want to make sure that this venue is perfect. So I can see why Site Lab, though.
Well, and one of the ways I look at it is I think a curator, you need to bring a certain humility, and it's really like, convince me. Tell me your story, and then I want to be convinced about it. And you know, you're also a curator, so you're also thinking, oh, I do that a little bit different, but we try and tone that down.
I think we have everyone on the edge of their seats now. They're saying, we need to know who got this now. All right, so let's take a look. The Fed Galleries at Kendall College of Art and Design.
Yeah. So this is a show called Ray, and it's about Ray, environment, sustainability, overconsumption, climate change. And I think the thing that really stood out for me about the exhibition is that it's a topic that we all understand as being very important, but a lot of times, and one of the things, this is not entirely fair, but we're all sort of seeing that sculpture made out of empty plastic bottles. And it's great to see the big dog or the big cat made out of plastic bottles, but what Michelle has done in putting together a series of projects that are really beautiful forms and really beautiful stories. And 2 examples really quick. One artist took all this detritus, our overconsumption, and put like a porcelain slip over it, and then hung it on the wall, and it's called cumulus. Mm-hmm. And so it's really this notion that the waste that we live in, this artificial waste, is becoming our natural environment, our cumulus, our clouds, our landscape. And that's a depressing thought that we need to change.
Right. Okay, the next one, Frederick Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park. We all love visiting Meyer Gardens.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to see the gardens, but I'm sure they were beautiful.
They are.
I mean, this was a really great, I mean, one of the things I do, I actually run an annual festival also, where part of the joy of it is people walking around the city and feeling like, this is the city I want to live in. And I think what this exhibition did was sort of go beyond that notion of the geography, that Grand Rapids is the 3 square miles or whatever it is, but it's a state of mind. Mm-hmm. And it's a history and it's a connection. And so all of the artists in the exhibition have a really deep connection to Grand Rapids, whether they now live here or not. And there's some really beautiful work, including this one that is looking at glass spheres that are like spindles that are representations of population changes over time, and looking at the population of Grand Rapids, which has been pretty steady, a little bit down in the 1930s, compared to a city like Shenzhen, which in 1970 went from 0 to several million. And it's just like, this is the world we live in.
Right. So now you know you can't just stay downtown, you've got to venture out as well. The next one, this is what we've all been waiting to hear. Did they make it on the list again? They did. Site Lab Rumsey Street Project.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting because in a way they're in the same neighborhood as before, as I understand. But it's a completely new set of artists, and each of those artists are looking at a way of affecting the urban environment. And so I think there's two really important things, and one was we just talked about was the ability to talk to everyone, or everyone to experience the work regardless of your ableness. But the other is, we often think of the urban environment as something that is unchangeable and that happens to us. But what this show is, what this site is about, is that we can affect, we can have agency, we can change the environment around us, even if it seems very strong and sturdy and stable. And that's a very important thing to keep in mind.
Definitely a strong message. And the next one, this space is not abandoned, 912 Granville Avenue.
So this is very interesting. So this is the cultural collective that Stephanie curated, and I think the one thing I would say, one of the things I would say about this is that it's so important for the community to self-represent. And so they are bringing in the artists that work and live there and know their community and are expressing it in a way that is meaningful to them. I was there on Saturday for some of the performances, and it's just the joy that the audience had of seeing neighbors and friends and artists from the neighborhood performing for the larger audience and expressing not just internally, but for the entire Grand Rapids community was a really special opportunity.
The last one on our list, Recompose 130 Ottawa Avenue Northwest.
Yeah, so this is, the first two shows that we talked about are beautiful installations, and I think that's one of the important things about a venue often. But what this show, it's happening in an unused office space. It doesn't have to be a pristine white-walled space. And the exhibition is really about how artists can combine ephemeral materials like water or sand or thread with more permanent materials to recompose them, to transmogrify them into something else. It's a series of 7 or 8 beautiful installations that I highly recommend everyone go visit.
I really looked at that as a venue that really had some deep messages in there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dietz. Appreciate all of that insight. And we are just getting started. Still ahead, we have the shortlist for the time-based, 2D and 3D categories. Plus, we'll show you what ArtPrize pitch nights are all about. Welcome back to the ArtPrize Shortlist. I'm Marley Ginter. We are bringing you exclusive coverage as the jurors reveal their 5 finalists for each category. We still have 3 more categories to unveil, so let's get straight to the 2-dimensional category. This is the largest category in ArtPrize. Last year, the jurors chose the Fearless Brother Project presents Realistic Neglects. This was an exhibit of pictures chronicling murders in Grand Rapids. Very moving. Now, the juror picking this year's 2D shortlist is Dr. Tina Rivers Ryan, a New York-based art historian and critic. Dr. Ryan, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Let's get to these finalists right now. We've got, first off, Charted Memories by Karen Kroll at Calvin College. Talk about this one.
I'd be happy to. So this work was situated in the context of a show that was devoted primarily to works on paper. the work immediately drew me in with the vibrancy of its color. It's made of these incredibly patterned grids that go across the surface of the canvas, of the paper. So these are watercolor. And I actually thought that was really compelling that the artist used her materials and respected her materials, that these are not oil on canvas, but they're watercolor on paper. And she really lets you see that in her work. So one of the first things you'll notice from across the room is the rough cut edge of the paper. You'll also notice the way that the pigment sort of pools or bleeds. You really get a sense of that water in the material, and I appreciated that.
It's pretty incredible what you can do with watercolors. I mean, this is amazing to see that. The next one we have, Coherency by Faik Ahmed at Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum.
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting work because what we see going on here is an incredible juxtaposition of opposites. So Faik Ahmed is an Azerbaijani artist, and he's picking up on the tradition of Azerbaijani carpets. So these are very traditional fabric arts that are made in his home country. And you can probably tell just by looking at the work that what he's done is he's taken a digital image of one of these carpets, and he has sort of photoshopped it to manipulate the pattern to create this sort of liquid pool of colors right in the middle of that carpet. And then he actually has that image manufactured as a carpet and is displaying that vertically on the wall. So what was formerly a very traditional process and practice now has become updated with digital technology. What was a traditional Eastern kind of artistic style now looks very digital and is part of this sort of global, maybe Western tradition. And also something that was originally a functional object as well as an aesthetic one is now turned into something that excuse me, is completely aesthetic by virtue of being put up on the wall.
Now, the next one we want to get to, this one is in French, Les Bêtes, by Isaac Oikai at the City of Grand Rapids Water Building.
Yeah, so this is a hometown artist. I'm not familiar with his work. He is apparently a dancer, and I think that that definitely comes through in the work. What we're seeing is a series of photographs of individuals in a very cold, wintry landscape. And what could have been a series of very compelling and beautiful portraits has been transformed into something much more complex simply by adding in these masks that were made by a London designer with whom the artist collaborated, I guess. And when you look at these portraits of these people wearing these masks in this cold landscape, I think it does something that I always want art to do, which is instead of providing an answer, to pose a question, to prompt a question. And on the one hand, there's this very superficial question of why are all these people standing around naked in the cold with weird masks on their face? But I think the more profound question is, what does it mean to be human? So the title of this piece is Les Bêtes, which means the beasts. And, there's the sense of, how do we present ourselves? How do we relate to our environment? How do we relate to each other? And if you look at the work, I think you are sort of asked to come up with your own questions even beyond that. So I found it very compelling and beautiful, in addition to having a lot of technical skill for somebody who calls himself an amateur photographer.
Right. And now the next one, Survival Does Not Lie in the Heavens by Dario Robledo at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. This one, it just looks like you're staring off into the night. Yeah. But it's actually these are lights, right? That we're looking at here. Different images of lights from an album.
Yeah, so as with a lot of what we call photoconceptualism, there's a sort of bigger story that you have to unpack in order to understand what the artist is trying to accomplish with the work. So it looks at first glance like it's maybe an astronomical photo or a series of photos of a galaxy, a star system, but actually what we're looking at is a digital collage of images of lights on the album covers of gospel, jazz, and R&B albums. And so he has taken those lights out of their context and stitched them together to make a kind of galaxy. And so there's a little bit of a play here, right? We're not looking at stars in outer space. We're looking at these lights that are associated with these musical stars, with these celebrities. There's something very poetic in thinking about the fact that the radio waves that these albums would have been released out into the world on are now, in fact, radiating out into space, right, forever. And the wall label at the museum actually pointed that out, and I thought that was such a poetic way of thinking about how these artists are surviving. And yet the title, if you think about it, says that survival is not in the heavens. And I really struggled to think about how to think about that. If it's not out in the heavens, if it's not in the sense that these artists have passed on, all of the artists whose albums are being represented here are deceased. So if it's not that the artists are in the heavens, if it's not that the music is in the heavens, where is survival? And I think the answer is the survival is in the music. And it's in the act of playing it and reliving it and bringing it out into the world again.
Wow, I love that look into it. The next one, Transformation, Metamorphosis by Shakeela Hoskins at the Water Center.
So this is another hometown artist, as you can probably tell by the sound of the applause in the room. Her style might be familiar to you. From my understanding, she's actually exhibited at a number of other art prizes in past years. This is an oil painting on canvas. It's a figurative painting. It's actually a diptych, meaning that there's two canvases placed next to each other, and in both of them we see the same young African-American girl sort of mirrored. What struck me about this work at first glance, and the artist herself speaks to this when talking about the work in her statement, it looks like a sculpture almost, right? The girl almost looks like a sculpture. And there's sort of multiple ways that the artist is invoking a classical tradition of Western art going back to Greek and Roman statuary. So first of all, the fact that the modeling, the shadowing, the rendering, the chiaroscuro is so detailed and so convincing. You know, you really get a sense of this little girl being a body in space. The grisaille, the use of gray and black and white tones, getting rid of most of the other colors. That also relates back to statuary, because we all obviously, you know, imagine in Western art that statues are usually that white marble. That's what you think of. The pose is really incredible. There's something, you know, it's unusual. Little girls don't lie around in bed like that, right? So it's a contrived pose, and I love that there's a perfect balance here, as in sort of classical statuary, between a kind of dynamic and lifelike expression, and on the other hand, it's very stable, right? It's very permanent. So it's lifelike but stable. And then I thought, well, okay, she's invoking all of these different aspects that we associate with classical Western art, especially sculpture. Why a little African-American girl, right? I mean, think about her subject matter and how it relates to the stylistic choices that she's made. And for me, it really underscored the fact that we are not used to seeing representations of young African-American women in Western art. And I will take applause for that. Not on my behalf, but as a credit to the artist. And I think that by inserting this little girl into this tradition, it draws attention to that absence. And I think that the way you'll notice in the right panel, the girl is looking out at us. In the left panel, she's looking down, but in the right, she looks out at us. And I see her gaze as an invitation to us to consider her, to recognize her, to acknowledge her.
Right. Such a moving piece, for sure.
It's very moving.
Our next category is time-based. Now, these are works of performance or film. Last year's winner was That Was Then, a video with the actual audio reporting of the first hours of Operation Desert Storm. The juror for the time-based category this year is Yesomi Umalu, exhibitions curator at the Riva and David Logan Center for the Arts of the University of Chicago. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. So let's jump straight in, right? We want to hear these. The first one we're looking at is Search Engine Vision ISIS by Eric Souther at the UICA. Talk about this one.
Yeah, this is a fantastic piece, and one of the reasons why I selected it was because of the kind of resolution in terms of the content and the concept of the work, and also how it's presented in the gallery. It's a really stellar presentation in a sort of venue that's already been highlighted in our conversation here today. And this is a single channel video piece that's associated also with a large kind of wallpaper mural that you see as you enter the venue. And it looks at the relationship between language and image and meaning. And the artist does a sort of of simple YouTube search for ISIS and sees what comes up out of that search.
Right.
And of course, we see the associated imagery of the international terrorist group. And then he adds another search for ISIS goddess, and then you see images of the goddess Isis. And so it's about kind of like the sort of differences in meaning in our language, and also about the sort of pervasiveness of different forms of kind of identification in our digital sphere.
Right.
Yeah.
What an interesting search to do on that. Our next one, Bang Bang by Constance Edwards Scopelitis at the City Water Building.
Yeah. What I really loved about this piece, I mean, the title of the category is time-based, and usually when you think of time-based, you think of maybe full-length videos or films or documentaries, and I really love this very short animation that was very poignant, both aesthetically but also the kind of meaning behind the piece as well. And it's really simply a meditation on the kind of culture of gun violence in this country, and kind of bringing you into the work through a very kind of like pop aesthetic. So it uses an illustration that looks very alluring and bright colors, and it's paired with the sound of two school children maybe who are kind of playing in a park. And as the piece kind of moves on, you get a sort of crescendo of real life kind of gunfire. And you think about this distinction between that, the sort of culture we're kind of generating here, and how children are being kind of brought up within a culture of like extreme gun violence.
It's interesting. It brings you almost a disturbing, because you start with kids and then you end up with gunfire. Our next one, Sweeper's Clock by Martin Boss at the Grand Rapids Art Museum.
I take that as applause as meaning I made a good choice. This is one of my favorite pieces in ArtPrize this year. I think, again, like the last one, it's a very simple proposition. It is a video that documents a sort of durational performance that the artist has kind of choreographed with a set of performers. And it's basically illustrating the face of a clock, but the hour hand is represented by a pile of trash, and also the minute hand is represented by another pile of trash. And as each minute passes, two performers kind of sweep the trash of the minute hand, and as each hour passes, they sweep the trash of the hour hand. And it takes you a little while to notice, actually, this is a real-time clock. So you might be sitting down and then you look at your cell phone and you look at your watch, and there's a correlation between the image and your actual kind of like cell phone. And I think that's a really interesting conversation to think about the relationship between time and labor, and how we're used to kind of depicting time these days.
Sure, they got their work out doing that too. The next one is The Magnetosphere by Matthew Steinka at Kendall College.
This is actually one of the first pieces I saw when I visited ArtPrize, and I loved it immediately because it's a very immersive environment, and I really enjoyed the fact that there was a troupe of people in there who were kind of engaging with this work. And it's a sound installation which the artist has created using a combination of rudimentary objects, tin cans, and other such things, as well as some sort of vintage acoustic devices, and kind of a meditation on how we create sound and the relationship between different objects in space. So it was a very playful and fun environment to be part of.
And the last one on the list, The Bureau of Personal Belonging by Stacy Kirby at City Flux 50 Monroe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the artist... The artist here has to be commended for the kind of complete transformation of a space. And I really love the fact that even though this is a time-based piece, it's also a sculptural piece, it's also sort of an installation, a participatory piece that I think most importantly kind of comments on questions of gender and sex, and who has the choice to define that, and how that might relate to particular laws or legislation. So it's not just a piece that kind of goes through a very kind of, I think, kind of a personal kind of conversation between individuals who visit the Bureau and officers who are kind of set in the scene. It's also a form of advocacy. So this group, this collective, are going to collect all these sort of paraphernalia through the course of ArtPrize and actually send it to the governor so that he knows that a lot of people actually don't necessarily want to define themselves as being male or female, but just simply human. And that's something that we need to kind of bear into consideration as we think about particular laws that are stifling that.
Certainly another one with a message. And now this next thing that we want to get to right now, ArtPrize awards $280,000 in grants. Wait until you see this piece. Think of it as Shark Tank meets ArtPrize. Take a look at the pitch nights.
Minneapolis, Louisville, Durham, Indianapolis. Artists under pressure and on the clock. At each pitch night, 5 artists get just 5 minutes to win over the judges. The prize, $5,000 to create their artwork and bring it to Grand Rapids. It started in June in Durham, North Carolina. The winning pitch, The Bureau of Personal Belonging by Stacy Kirby, focuses on North Carolina's controversial House Bill 2.
It will be bridged by the Identity Corridor, which is a project that has over 150 rubber stamps that are customized from responses that I've received over the past 10 years about identity. And then I'll be working with the LGBT community in Grand Rapids to perform my work while I'm not there during the week, so they can in turn validate their own community as well as the visitors to ArtPrize.
Then it was on to Louisville. The winning pitch there, Letitia Bachulio's Gazebo.
For ArtPrize, I propose to offer viewers a monumental meta moment. Like a play within a play, like Noises Off, or like Dwayne Michael's photography, where there's a sequence of photographs. What is an infinite space? Where do you even exist? My sculpture here is a gazebo inside a gazebo inside a gazebo.
Next, pitch night moved to the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis. Emily Lynch Victory's idea to combine math, art, and music won over the judges.
There's these kind of large-scale paintings that form a big wall, and all of them are layers of bases, number bases. So maybe the grid is base 3. Here's an example. I also would ask composers I would make the list, I would meet with them, have a couple math talks, and you can hear math.
The final pitch night was in Indianapolis, which is a good place to win. 2 years ago, Anila Kayamaga won pitch night in Indy. Her entry, Intersections, went on to win the ArtPrize public vote and tied in the grand jury vote. This year's winner at Indy Pitch Night, Kip Norman's Pile of Furniture Trash. Here's his pitch.
It will be a tremendous pile of broken and decrepit furniture. The sort of furniture that you find at yard sales and thrift stores, much of it, I'm sure, was made in Grand Rapids. I'm going to make artistically arranged heaps of this furniture. Yes, what I am proposing is a giant pile of trash.
3 of the pitch night winners are in the same place, 50 Monroe Avenue. That's where you can see Triumphal Entry, the Bureau of Personal Belonging, and Mathematics and Art. The 4th winner, Gazebo, is in Lion Square.
And don't go anywhere. The shortlist for one of the most popular categories at ArtPrize. We'll show you the finalists in the 3D category. We only have one more category to get to, but first let's review the shortlist that we've already unveiled tonight. Let's take a look. I'll look at the installation category and most outstanding venue. And when you're seeing this, you can see 2 Site Lab entries made the installation shortlist, and the Site Lab is once again on the shortlist for best venue. Now take a look at the 2D and time-based shortlist. Each of the jurors here tonight will pick a winner in their category that will take home $12,500. And as for the Grand Jury Award, 3 art experts will come look at the 20 finalists named tonight and pick a winner for the $200,000 grand prize. All of those winners will be announced during the ArtPrize Awards on October 7th, live, right here on WOOD TV. All right, here we go. Now to the final shortlist, the popular 3D category. Last year's 3D juried winner was The Last Supper, an entry documenting death row inmates' final meals. Now this year, Omar Lopez Shahood, artistic director and curator of Untitled Art Fair in Miami Beach and San Francisco. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's jump right into this one because it's so true. This is such a popular category. Everyone wants to know who the finalists are. We've got Pose System by Saya Wolfalk at the Grand Rapids Art Museum.
Well, I truly love this work. I think this is almost a self-portrait of the artist, knowing her history. She's partly Japanese. There is definitely a ritualistic element to the work that comes across clearly, but also the detail that is that you can see in the work. If you get up close, you'll see how beautiful and detailed the work is. It's looking at a sculpture, but it's also looking at a painting. Right. I always say that painting and a sculpture sometimes, it's almost like one thing. If you look at this, it's three-dimensional, but you can see it as a painting as well. And I think she's succeeded extremely well with that, including this sort of beautiful sort of arrangement of sculptures. And I'm actually really impressed with the work.
And then the next one that was really impressive for you was Support Surfaces 1, 2, 3 by Bailey Romaine at City Flux 50 Monroe.
This is a new thing for me. I don't know the artist. I'm very lucky I got to talk to the curator of the show and get a little background on the work. And one of the things that really I was totally impressed with is that the artist spends a lot of time going around the city and getting a sense of the history of Grand Rapids and its architecture, and she's using elements and I would say details and pieces that she finds in the city and composing them or arranging them in such a beautiful, and there was so much tension going on with these pieces. And again, I still relate them to painting somehow because of the use of colors, how she intervenes on these works. She's a young artist, and I wanted to support a young artist, which is what I do all the time. And I'm very, very pleased to have gotten to know her work.
The next one on the list, Excavations by William Lamson at Site Lab Rumsey Street Project.
Well, this is an artist that I know and that I've been following the work for some time. And I'm always surprised how he thinks. I mean, he is extremely conceptual. He thinks about the environment all the time. Cutting out sections of this concrete and that was basically covering the earth and revealing parts of the earth and making it into these beautiful shapes. He's letting life grow again so we can make a connection to our current sort of concerns with the environment. And he is incredibly good at it.
And I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this next one because it definitely stood out to me. The Grand River by Francisco Pinheiro at City Flux 50 Monroe.
Another big surprise. I didn't know his work. I started researching a little bit, and he's an artist that is between San Francisco and Portugal. But he's also an artist that is very much interested in researching. I personally like work that is research-based and that people immerse themselves, or artists immerse themselves in the history of this place or the site where they're working. And to me, I have to say I enjoyed talking to the curator of the show because she gave me a really good, clear explanation of what the artist's intention was to basically research the flood, I believe, early 20th century. Was it 1903 or later?
I think it was later than that.
Later than that?
Yeah.
But there was a flood here in the during the early part of the 20th century.
Our news director's in the crowd. Maybe he would know it.
Well, it's my first time to Grand Rapids, so I'm also learning through being here. But what I like is also how beautiful the sculpture is, and how he was able to take these sandbags and
you were right. 1904 is what I'm hearing now.
1904,
Yeah.
so I was really close.
Yeah, very close.
1903, 1904. Oh God, I love history, so I'm like going to Google.
But I was right, I said later than 1903.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of what the artist is trying to do also is to connect what's happening now. We're talking about the current situation with the sea level rising, and it's sort of revisiting history to teach the younger generations something that we can learn from the past and try to fix it.
Important.
Very
want
important.
to get to the very last one. Are we excited for this one?
Okay.
Set
Which one?
Output World, Called with the World of the Wrong Size by Kayla Anderson at UICA.
Ooh, I have to say, I came twice, I believe 3 times, and I kept coming back because I love the objects and the fact that she's using all these contemporary materials like plastic, and she's making these beautiful, beautiful objects that really represent the time today. But at the same time, she is making it into the future. The way people in the future will look back to us is what I call futuristic archaeology. And it's people going 300-400 years from now will be sort of looking back to today's culture. So in a way, it's a relic of how we live today, and to me is a little bit of science fiction, but it's also quite beautiful. The aesthetics of it, the colors, it's an artist also that I discovered, and I think my personal experience as a curator coming here is discovering new artists, and this is one of them.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, there you have
Thank
it,
you.
the shortlist for all the categories. And a reminder, you can keep voting until 11:59 Saturday night. Then on Sunday, we'll get your short list for each category. The public vote, final 20, will be announced Sunday in Rosa Parks Circle. But you can also see that live on WOTV4 and also watch it on woodtv.com. This is a really big night for us here. Make sure to stick around for The Voice and the first presidential debate. And also, don't forget, I will see you tomorrow night on the all-new 24-hour News 8 at 7. Have a great night.